Hi everyone, welcome to Relatively Refined. My name is Patty. In today's video, we're going to head to one of my local antique shops. It is right around the corner from my house, and it is always chock full of fun, inspiring, and gorgeous antiques, vintage items, collectibles, all kinds of things. So I thought we would take a trip there and check it out, and then we'll come back here and I can show you what I got. In addition, I'm going to go to a thrift store and see what they have. It's been a minute since I've been thrifting, so I'd like to check out. They have gotten rid of all their summer inventory and they're bringing out fall items and winter items. So I'm excited to see if there are some new things for me to snag or to be inspired by. So all this to say, let's head to the antique store and I will head to the thrift store afterward, and then we'll come back here and I'll share with you what I got. So we are headed to Revival Antiques in Swanton, Vermont. Of course, I have to pit stop to look at their beautiful flowers. And this is a place I go for inspiration. It's right around the corner. It's an antique mall of sorts, relatively small, but several vendors. And right out of the jump, I loved this pressed glass compote or footed bowl. And I had to show you these because I believe my sister Paula picked these up at a thrift store. They are tea bag holders in this cute little caddy and anthropomorphic tea bag holders. I just think they're adorable, and I'm quite certain Paula grabbed those from a thrift store. I really enjoy looking at the postcard collection here, and recently I received, or my husband found, a postcard in one of our stashes that was sent from his, I think it would be his great-grandmother, so I'll have to share that at some point. And I thought this was a unique way to display all of the kitchen items. I know some people love to collect kitchen utensils, and I thought that was a great way to display them without having to kind of rifle through the various drawers and things like that. I really loved this table. You're going to see a theme. I'm looking at quite a few tables, dressers, stands, things like that. And I loved the poles on this one and the marble top. So I think this was a piece that I kept my eye on. And here's another table. I really liked this one a lot because it was short, so more like a coffee table style. And I'm looking for something similar for my sitting room. And then this was a full height table that I loved. I loved that crystal knife rest, so pretty. I just love to take in all these beautiful dishes. I love those little reticulated, those were tiny, those dishes, more like a trinket dish. And I loved these plates. In fact, I'm quite certain at some point in my life I had this pattern in a teacup and saucer. Here's another table. I have eyed this several times when I have been there. What I love about it is it's more like a half moon, like a demi-lune table. It has a flat back and a rounded front. Any guesses on what this is? I was really unsure. So it said it's a soap holder and cup holder. So I imagine it mounts and there's a cup on top and you keep the soap in the bottom. I had never seen anything like that. There it is, soap and glass holder. I loved this old picture. It reminds me of one I'm quite certain one of my grandmothers had in her home. And I can't resist vintage cookbooks. I'm also quite certain we had this Hershey's cookbook in my household growing up.
It looked very familiar to me. Cookbooks are very nostalgic. My parents had quite a collection of cookbooks when we were growing up, and I love to see them displayed. Books in general are such a nice way to add a little touch of warmth and interest to your home. And I thought these doll clothes were so sweet. They reminded me of my paternal grandmother who used to make doll clothes. This table I thought was very interesting. I have no idea why it's shaped like that. It's a round top, and then I wasn't sure what this was in the middle there. I think I get down to get a closer look, but that's all I could find out. I loved this picture. It's kind of like my botanical prints, but in black and white. And I sat and looked at that for a long time. I also loved this cup and pitcher set. This booth belongs to a friend of mine, and she always has the greatest items. And there's, of course, some Port Marion. I loved the hydrangea ones. And another marble top table. And another small table. I loved that petite one.
All right, we are back at the house. I had a great time at that antique store. I saw so many interesting things. I really was looking a lot at those tables. You probably saw in the footage. The marble top tables have really caught my attention, and I'm looking for a small coffee table type table for my sitting room. It has to be small because that is a small room, and too much stuff in there is going to feel claustrophobic. So I kind of was looking at that, and we'll see. That one definitely has piqued my interest. And while there were so many beautiful things there, I did only pick up one item at the antique shop. And then I proceeded to check out the thrift store, and I was really pleasantly surprised. They were full of new fall inventory. And so it was getting a little bit tiring of going in there and sort of seeing the same things, which I completely understand. Summer is a very different animal here. While, they're just people go on vacation, there are limited hours. And so it's always exciting to go when they have refreshed. They usually close for a week or so at the end of the summer while they really clean out the summer inventory and restock with some new and exciting items. So I was very pleased. I spent quite a lot of time in there. It is too small to film, but I did get a few items that I wanted to share with you and get a chance to show you kind of what is out there. So let's start with the piece that I picked up at the antique store. And it is this sweet crystal knife rest. I absolutely loved this. I have been wanting a knife rest or a set of knife rests, and I do not see them very often either in the antique stores or the thrift stores here. So I'm not sure, but this was just sitting there and waiting for me to pick it up. And it is this kind of barbell design, which is my favorite, with the facets here so that you can properly rest your knife. I think that is so pretty. This was $5, and it really reminds me of our father. He had a set of knife rests. He had a lot of beautiful tabletop items and lots of pretty accent pieces and different unusual things. And I remember him having a set of knife rests. So I think I may have to start collecting them. And now that I've found one, I'm hoping, as often happens when you are in the thrifting or antiquing realm, they start to pop up. So I'm hoping to find more of them. So consider this the first item of a future collection. And I can imagine this on my big long dining room table with, all set for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something of the sort, and enjoying these. And honestly, While these are, I think were popular during the Victorian era, I really do think that these are one of those items that's pretty and practical. Like, of course, we want our knives up on something and not resting on our beautiful table linens, and it just saves, the dripping and the smearing. So I think that is such a brilliant idea to have these. So pretty and practical. I'm here for that. So this was the first item of this collection, and the only item I did pick up at that antique store. It was $5, so I thought that was a fair price. I have no idea really what they go for, but after I looked on eBay, I think that's a very fair price. So I was super pleased to find that just around the corner at my local antique shop. And while I'm going to continue to mull over some of those tables, I did at least come away with something. Okay, now on to my thrifting. I really spent a lot of time in that store. It's tiny, but it was chock-a-block full, which that's my favorite. Small but packed. I am here for that. So it doesn't make for good filming, but it makes for really fun thrifting. The first item I picked up was, this store has mostly clothing. They have a few small items, and they do have a decent book selection, but mostly clothing. So I did pick up this beautiful sweater. I thought this was so perfect for fall. I have laundered it and tried it on, and it is definitely something you're going to see me in an upcoming video for sure. So here it is. It is this really pretty it is somewhere between orange and red in that color palette, and a beautiful color for fall. It's kind of boxy. It has beautiful ribbing on the bottom and on the cuffs. Has a really nice side button detail here with these 4 wooden buttons and a mock neck, which I actually really love. As a woman of a certain age, I don't love having my neck exposed like it is here. So this covers it a little bit without kind of constricting my neck, which I also don't love. So I get fussier as I get older, I think. So this was kind of the perfect sweater for me. It kind of ticked all the boxes. It is from Orvis. I don't know what size it is. I couldn't see a size. It was on the racks as a medium. I think that's probably accurate. And it has a little bit of an oversized, like I said, boxy shape to it, which I love. So without hitting the microphone too hard here, I'm just going to kind of show you the neck, which I like. So there is not a mark on this, and there is something about pre-loved sweaters that I love. They've been worn and washed, and they have a nice feel. This is 100% cotton, by the way, and I have laundered it, hung it out on my clothesline, and tried it on, and as I said, you will be seeing this. So this sweater was $3. I've mentioned before at this particular thrift store, and I want to say the name of it, but there's 2 that I go to, and I think this one is Helping Hands thrift store in Milton, Vermont. So as I've said, one of the things I love about this thrift store is its flat pricing. So all the sweaters are $3, all the button-up shirts are a certain amount, all the pants are a certain amount. Just makes it really easy. So this was $3, and I love it. Always fun to have a sweater for the fall, and I am partial to really comfy cotton sweaters. They're not too heavy, too itchy. Like I said, I'm getting fussy. Okay, the next item I picked up may have violated my previous rule, but this is a rescue item. Now, if you don't know what a rescue item, I think my sister and I, both my sisters probably, and I have mentioned these. These are the items that we don't need, but we just can't leave behind because either they are just absolutely beautiful, they are homemade, they are something that we know are valuable and sort of being undersold, and we just can't leave them behind to possibly end up in the landfill. So this fits this. Now, I'm not saying that I won't use these because I probably will, but I certainly didn't need them. But man, are they beautiful. So this is a set of hand sewn pillow covers. They are quite large and they are a beautiful kind of herringbone tweed design. And we have a lawnmower. Hold on, let me close the windows. Okay, the windows are closed. I can hear the lawnmower, but I'm hoping you cannot. And to be honest, this summer I haven't had to compete this past summer too much with lawnmowers because sadly it's been a very, very dry summer here. Now that makes for an enjoyable summer because you don't have many events getting rained out, but it also means the grass and the lake is low and the grass is very dry. We haven't had too many times where we've had to mow the lawn. So we did recently get some rain, so I expect most people will be out today cutting the grass. I cannot blame them one bit. I'm not going to complain about it, but I am going to close the windows. So there you go. Back to these gorgeous pillow covers. They are this lovely shade of green, and you can see that really pretty herringbone design. And they are so thick and heavy and large. And I love that they had the little tag tied on them. So nice. Now you can tell when something is well made just by feeling it. These are like upholstery grade. This is upholstery grade fabric and a very well sewn in zipper. This is not going to tear. The corners are all reinforced. So this is so much better than anything you can purchase really at a retail shop. This was handmade by somebody who knew what they were doing. Now, as the granddaughter of an excellent seamstress, I sure appreciate how much work went into these. I personally don't sew, but I know how much work something with this heavy of a fabric, I know how much work that is. So I would say I have not measured these, but I'm thinking these are like maybe a 20-inch square. They are very, very large. I sort of look at this green, well, it's a beautiful neutral. I think this would be so pretty in the spring. So look for this to come out in my house maybe around March. I did not need these, a set of two, but they were $2. I mean, you just can't beat that. Like I said, I could not, this was in the category of I cannot leave these behind. And the last item I picked up at this thrift store is a book. If you have been watching our channel for a minute, hopefully you are watching my sister Paula's amazing book talks. She has really inspired me to get back into my love of reading. As a child, I was a voracious reader. I am the youngest sister. I have two older sisters, an older brother and a younger brother. So I'm the fourth of 5 children. And my summers were spent as a student while my sisters would play teacher and read to me, quiz me. And also my sister Kathleen was my gymnastics coach. So this was the 70s where we all wanted to be Nadia Comaneci. So that was what I did for exercise. So I had a tutor and slash teacher and a PE teacher slash gymnastics coach. And that's how I spent my summer. And I'm not complaining one single bit because they both inspired me for my love for reading and academics, as well as I think back in the day I was a pretty good gymnast. Now I can barely jump an inch off the ground, but back in the day I loved doing all the gymnastics. So anyway, all this to say that Paula, my sister Paula, was kind of like my first teacher. And I spent many a summer listening to her talk about books and read to me, and I really was the beneficiary of that. So here we are, fast forward 50 years, and here we are still, she is still inspiring me to read and revisit some of my favorite things. So anyway, I picked up this great hardcover book. This is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This was part of Oprah's book club, I think in 2023. This was on Goodreads, must-read list. So this has gotten all kinds of accolades. Hardcover books at this thrift store were $1. I thought they were $2 and paperbacks were $1, but hardcovers were $1, paperbacks are 50 cents. So this is a huge score. I've actually wanted to read this book for quite a while. Barbara Kingsolver is the author. She is probably my very favorite author. I do not read a lot of fiction, but when I do, it's either Agatha Christie mysteries or it's Barbara Kingsolver novels. So she is from Appalachia, and her writing is usually rooted in the trials and tribulations of Appalachian life, a lot about environmental situations, environmental issues as well. So I absolutely love her writing style. And this book, Demon Copperhead, it was inspired by Charles Dickens. I think she was visiting his home in England, and she was very inspired by his willingness to kind of tackle what were the economic issues of the time and sort of speak up and give voice to the impoverished. And Barbara Kingsolver was very much inspired by that. So you can tell by the title, Demon Copperhead, I bet you can guess what novel inspired her for this. If you think about Charles Dickens and his books, I think Demon Copperhead may give you an idea of what novel inspired this. So this is written in first person by the protagonist and talks about his life and in Appalachia and kind of the social issues that are in modern times are plaguing that area of the country and so many rural areas of the country, I might add. So I am super excited. Now this is a long one, and these old tired eyes, we shall see how they do. I may supplement this with the audiobook as well. So, but I am definitely excited to dive into Demon Copperhead. If you've read this book, please let me know in the comments. Like I said, she is one of my very favorite authors. And she grew up in Kentucky, so every time I'm down there, I'm always hoping she'll do a signing at the local bookshops. She does do that. So whenever I'm in Lexington, I kind of check it out. They usually have her books featured there. And I believe now she lives in Southern Virginia, in Appalachia. So anyway, she's a great author. I'm excited to dive into this and to pick up a hardcover book that I have been wanting to read for $1. I just considered that the score of the day. And onto my bedside table this goes. And like I said, I am real. This may be supplemented with audiobooks because my eyes, between aging and my current allergy situation, my eyes are taxed. So we'll see how much I get visually read of this, and I may be putting in the earbuds and supplementing. So that was my haul at both the thrift store and the antique store. I think I did pretty well. What do you think? And yeah, so that is it for that haul. All right, everyone, that is all I have for you today. I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed our trip to the antique store. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I got at both the thrift store and the antique store. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps our channel out. And as always, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We have so much fun fall content coming your way, and you're not going to want to miss it. So hit the notification bell as well. And I'm going to include a couple more videos at the end of this video for you to enjoy until our next upload. So in the meantime, I want everyone to take care, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.